Time for everybody's favorite, trig. All right, so dx dt, 2 times derivative cosine is negative sine, so we get, and put that negative on front, negative 2 times sine of t. dy dt, we have negative 3 times derivative of sine of t, which is just cosine of t. So if we want to find dy dx, we're going to have negative 3 cosine of t all over negative 2 sine of t. Well, we can leave it like this and take the second derivative, and we're going to have to deal with quotient rule again. But we can also simplify this so we don't need the quotient rule, which is going to change things up a little bit from here on out, but it's going to make it simpler in the long run. If we simplify this, we just have positive 3 halves, but cosine over sine is cotangent. So we have 3 halves cotangent of t for our first derivative. So now, for our second derivative, we don't need the quotient rule. We're just taking 3 halves times the derivative of cotangent of t. So derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant squared. So I'm going to put the negative out in front. Cosecant squared of t. But remember, whenever we take the derivative of t in this case, because we're actually doing the derivative in terms of x, we have to multiply by dt dx. So this is where it's a little bit different than before. Right? Before we had a big fraction, so to get rid of this, we multiplied top and bottom by dx dt. Well, this is not really written as a big fraction, but we can kind of think of it as that if we think of it like that whole thing over 1. So to get rid of that dt dx, we can still multiply by dx over dt on the top and the bottom. So that's going to cancel the one out on the top. We're going to have negative 3 cosecant squared of t. That 2, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the bottom with our dx dt. And remember, dx dt is negative 2 times sine of t. So now, to simplify a little bit more, we've got negative 3 over negative 4, so that's just going to be 3/4. Sine of t on bottom, cosecant squared on top. Well, if you think about it, what's 1 over sine of t? 1 over sine of t, oops, 1 over sine of t is the same as cosecant of t. So we have 3 cosecant squared of t over 4. If we want to get rid of that, sorry, a little technical difficulties there. If we want to get rid of that sine of t, that's like multiplying by 1 over sine. That's the same as cosecant of t. So technically, what we have here is 3/4 times cosecant cubed of t. Right? The 1 over sine is the same as cosecant, so we multiply that with the cosecant squared to give us cosecant cubed.